Welcome everyone to Woman in Word podcast with me, Kim Marie. Yes, I have a podcast. I am a birth and postpartum doula. I have a practice called Haven Sek and Maternal Services. I am a pediatric sleep specialist, childbirth educator, breastfeeding specialist, etc., etc. And in my practice, we offer birth and postpartum doula care, sleep consulting, lactation support, and just overall support for moms who are pregnant and postpartum or trying to get pregnant, or just moms who want community. I think for me, this podcast is about not just redemption, but it's also a calling. Especially partner, you want to ask these questions. Is mom okay? Is baby okay? It's not enough to just be pregnant, to go into a delivery room and say, hey, we're just gonna have a baby real quick. Did you do research on your provider? Did you look them up? Do you know their statistics? Or have you even asked those questions? You can ask those questions. Many times, especially new parents or new pregnant folks, they don't know what they're researching or what to research. So this is what we're gonna do here. This podcast is your time, and I invite you to just sit back, relax, and enjoy what we have for you. Welcome everyone to Woman in Word podcast with me, Kim Marie. Yes, I have a podcast, hello, which is still a little surreal to me. So just a little intro about myself. I am a birth and postpartum doula. I have a practice called Haven Sek and Maternal Services. I am a pediatric sleep specialist, childbirth educator, breastfeeding specialist, etc., etc. And in my practice, we offer birth and postpartum doula care, sleep consulting, lactation support, and just overall support for moms who are pregnant and postpartum or trying to get pregnant, or just moms who want community. I think for me, this podcast is about not just redemption, but it's also a calling. I know a lot of people know me and they've been telling me, oh my gosh, Kim, you've been in this field for so long. Like, have a podcast, have a podcast. But I am a Christian. I am a woman of the Lord. I lead by the Lord. I follow him in the way that he releases me. And this is when he released me. So now is the time for this podcast. Now is the time for this information to be out here. And Woman Word Podcast, just to sort of break it down. Womb is where, we talk about life, intuition, vulnerability, transformation. And word is not just our word, but what the Lord's word says about us, how we feel through faith, encouragement, real talk, expert guidance. And this is what this podcast is about. This podcast is debunking the maternal health sphere, the myths, how you should prepare, postpartum wise, if you've had a baby, or whether it's your 0 to 2 years postpartum, or whatever that looks like. This is what we're here to do. We are here to empower. We're here to create community. This is a safe space. So this isn't just some other regular schmegular podcast. This is an actual community, and it is here to reach those who are pregnant and postpartum. And don't get me wrong, maybe you're trying to conceive. Maybe you're a partner right now and you and your wife, or, maybe you all think you want a baby one day, or maybe you're just a woman who wish to have a family at some point in their life. This is for you. This is for you. This space is for you. We want to hear from you. We want to know how you feel, and we want to educate you through maternal health. Now, you have to maybe be living under a rock if you haven't seen just the sheer atrocities going on right now in maternal health, from families getting turned away, to people being afraid to speak up, to mortality rates rising for just basic things that could have been changed. We're going to debunk all of this here. So this episode is not just a get to know what Woman Word is about. We're going to talk a little bit about advocacy, but not just any advocacy in the labor and delivery room whilst you're in the hospital. Now, it's important to know that advocacy is not confrontation. Advocacy is clarity, whether it's under pressure, whether it's under urgency. Advocacy is knowing that you're going into labor and delivery feeling empowered, feeling like you know what this is, you know what to do, like your partner knows what to do. And as a doula, we encourage everyone to have a doula whilst they're going through pregnancy, whilst they're maybe trying to conceive, but through birth and postpartum as well. So, as a birth and postpartum doula, statistics show that having our support reduces the likelihood of unnecessary cesareans, of unnecessary interventions, of maternal mortality rates. And of course, things happen. And I'm not by any means saying a doula is the tell all or the fairy person that, allows for your labor to go smoothly 100%. That takes teamwork. It starts literally from the hospital administration to your providers to the nurses. It takes a lot. But having us there, having our knowledge prepare you before labor, having our knowledge teach you how to advocate, having us there to help with advocacy, having us, go through emotionally, mentally, and physically supporting you, which is what we do, is really helpful. And it is integral that you know that if you are pregnant, if you are trying to be pregnant, if at any point you think you're going to want to be pregnant, you absolutely need a doula with you, whether you're giving birth at a hospital, whether you're giving birth at home, whether you are giving birth at a birthing center. We want you to know that you need a doula, all right? So before we get into advocacy, there are 3 frameworks that I like to call the advocacy traps that a lot of people fly into, especially from what I've seen in my practice, right? So the first one is the good patient trap. So that looks like you're in the delivery room and you are wanting to be liked. You are afraid to say anything, or, hey, maybe if I just try to be a good patient, nothing would happen, or the birth would be amazing, or the doctors would like me. There's the emergency tone trap, right? Where there's urgency in language that moves you to remove consent, or, we need to do this now and right away. And then, we see clients fall into that a lot of the times. And then there's the silent partner trap. There's a partner that freezes out because they have no idea what they're doing. They don't know any terms. They're lost. They're scared. They're seeing mom on the hospital bed, maybe screaming or being in pain. And they're just like, I don't know what it is. So some ways in which you can release yourself from those traps is, can we have a moment to talk? When a doctor comes in and they give you, a scenario or an option, can we have a moment to talk? Can you explain this another way? What are our options here? So these are just the advocacy traps that I want you to be aware of that can happen in the labor and delivery room. Now, I want to preface this by saying when we talk about advocating in the hospital, there are times when things are absolutely emergent. So maybe something happened and they have to rush, mom into OR or something to help the baby and so forth. This is not what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying, oh my gosh, you have to stand up and be the big bad wolf, or, when there's a life or death, there's a life or death. But a lot of the times you may be presented with alternatives or things that can maybe help speed the birth up, or things that are not necessarily healthy for mom and baby, but is more convenient for the hospital team. And it's not to say, they don't want what's best for you, or, oh my gosh, you should not trust your doctor. This is not what this is at all. In any situation that you're going through medically, not even just births, we need to know how to advocate for yourself. This is whether you're just going to the ER for food, you need to know how to advocate for yourself. So this is why I am stressing that going into labor and delivery when you are pregnant, advocacy is key. So advocacy right now, what you should know, the first thing that I want to tell you is what we call the brain phenomenon. So that's benefits, risks, alternatives, intuition, and nothing. So For benefits, benefits looks like in the contents of what are your stated goals. So, for instance, maybe your doctor may come in and they say, hey, we want to do this because baby's not, coming out, or mom's contractions has stopped, or baby is still really high up and, not dropping. You want to ask, how does this support, the birth that we discuss, or what problems are we trying to solve? We're trying to solve right now. So benefits are sometimes presented as non-negotiable, when in reality, a lot of the time they're situational. So whenever the first stage to advocacy is learning or advocating or asking, what are the benefits of this? What if we just kind of wait a little? Is it what the statistics show? The second one is the risk, and risk is often very emotionally loaded. So risk can look like emergency, or danger, or failure. So what you want to do as the parents in the delivery room is, how common is this risk? So what's the risk if we, don't do this versus doing that? Whatever your options are presented. What does the risk look like if we maybe just wait 30 minutes? A lot of the time there's risk inflation in the hospital room, where many times, the doctors, they may want to speed things up. And I say this very lightly, but there can be fear-based communication. So you always want to ask, what are the risks? Why are we doing this? If we don't do this, what the statistics show if we just wait, or if she does this instead of that, what happens then? So you want to ensure that you ask these questions, or you learn these questions when presented with options and information. And then there's alternatives. So alternatives includes doing nothing or waiting, or which a lot of parents honestly don't realize that's a thing. So it is okay to ask for alternatives. Are there any other medical options or non-medical options we can try first before we go with this? So maybe you're presented with something. It's okay to ask, what's the alternative? Is there an alternative that we can explore? What would you suggest maybe if we weren't in a hospital? What can we do differently? Alternatives preserves that urgency, that agency that even comes when it ends up being the same, right? So it's okay to ask for alternatives. And I know a lot of the times, parents can feel like, I'm in the delivery room, I'm under the mercy of the care of this provider or this team and so forth. I'm just going to cower myself and not ask any questions. But you can. You have options. You have that right. And like I said earlier and preface this, especially if it's not life or death, especially if it's not, you have to be rushed out and so forth, that's a different story. But you need to know that you have options, and alternatives are an option to you. The other one is intuition. This is especially important for mom. You know your baby best. You are carrying this child inside of you. You know when something is not right. You know when something hurts. You know when something just doesn't feel good. You know when it's just your mind is telling you something's happening, something's happening. And this is your time for you to speak up. This is the time for you to say something's going on. And sometimes you may be dismissed. You may be like, oh no, that's normal. No, that's just normal pain. It's okay. You want to ensure that you use that intuition. So that's literally your body's literacy and informed experience. So this is where you speak up. Something doesn't feel right to me. Something's going on here. I don't feel good. Something isn't right. Or I need a moment to check in with my body. I understand that you have presented this to me, but I need to check in with my body first. I need to see how I feel. And intuition is also data informed. You know yourself best, right? It's not just off of emotion. So using your intuition is super important when advocating in the labor and delivery in the hospital. And the next one is nothing. Nothing can seem like a temporary pause, It's not refusal at all. So nothing looks like, what happens if we just wait 20 minutes? I understand that you would like to use this measure to speed up the birth, but what happens if we just do nothing? What happens if we just wait for baby to do their thing? Is mom okay? Is baby okay? especially partner, you want to ask these questions. Is mom okay? Is baby okay? What does it look like? What happens if we just do that, babe? So BRAIN is the acronym that we use when we teach clients how to advocate for themselves in the labor and delivery room. Now, in terms, there is advocacy, but there's also ways to know how advocacy is received. And this is what I like to call my ACEs acronym. So we have awareness, communication, energy, and support. So let's start with awareness. Awareness is knowing. So you need to know hospital policies versus evidence. Before giving birth in any hospital, I implore you, look at the statistics out there. Do research on this hospital, especially on their maternal health department. Look at the cesarean rates, look at the intervention rates, the maternal mortality rates. Awareness is knowing these things. It's not enough to just be pregnant, to go into a delivery room and say, hey, we're just going to have a baby real quick. Those days are over. Those days are absolutely over. We cannot be unawares right now once we're pregnant and once we're postpartum. And postpartum can literally mean as soon as you deliver this baby. It does not mean 6 weeks later, a month later, a year later. It doesn't always have to mean that. Postpartum is literally as soon as you step into that fourth trimester, as soon as that baby is born. So you can literally still be in that labor and delivery room postpartum. You need to know your provider preferences. Did you do research on your provider? Did you look them up? Do you know their statistics? Do you know, how many babies have they delivered? Have you even asked those questions? You can ask those questions. What are their preferences? What do they like? Are they very intervention friendly? Are they mom and baby friendly where they're okay to just let mom do her thing and just, have baby come however baby wants to come? And you also want to look at the power dynamics in the room. So that's also why you are encouraged, or I encourage you to not help, but hire a doula, because doulas know how to sort of regulate things and bring things back in order. We don't, rush to make decisions for you or, get combative and so forth. That's not what we do. That's not what we're about at all. But we are here to guide and maintain that balance and stability to help you with those decisions, to help, even with communication when you don't feel like you know what to ask. We're there to kind of, give that nudge. So awareness is important when you understand how advocacy is received. Then there's communication. Birth is a very sacred time. When mom is on that labor and delivery bed, doing her thing, it is sacred. You still want to maintain some sort of calm in the room. So just, how things are perceived, even if you say, we'd like a moment to discuss that, please, or we don't want that at this time, just ensuring that you know how it's conceived, ensuring it's perceived, ensuring that we are not looking to be combative. We're not looking to argue or fight. Our communication still has to be mutual. There's still a way to know how to say things. And then there's energy. And I don't mean, the woohoo energy. I'm talking the tone, the vibe. Panic often shuts down listening. So how do you feel? Is mom anxious? Is she overwhelmed? Are you anxious? Are you overwhelmed? How calmly are you dealing with this? And again, picking back up to having a doula. Doulas regulate the room before advocating. We understand what that tone is, what that vibe is, and that's super duper important. It's very important to keep a very calm and peaceful tone, especially knowing, which family you're supporting, or just maybe knowing your partner that's giving birth and, what her personality is like and so forth. And then we have support. So who speaks in the hospital in the labor and delivery room? The parents speak, the partners speak, doulas, we speak as well with the families. Nurses, the doctors, they all come in and, they talk and so forth, but it's okay. You have to know that support that you give is a tag team. Advocacy is literally tag teaming. It's almost like pre-assigned roles. So it's you knowing that it's okay to speak. It's okay to give that support. It's okay to ask those questions, right? So when you think of advocacy, I want you to think of it being sort of like a muscle. It's something that, you practice before labor. Before labor. When you look at the hospital statistics, you understand what you're going into. And if you see those statistics are not jibing or they're not in tune with you, you maybe look for a different hospital. When you look up your doctor, you know what you're going into. When you talk to your doctor, just asking questions with your doctor. And in the next week's episode, we're going to look at, questions that you should ask. Every family who's giving birth should ask their provider. The people that you should know, the numbers that you should have before going into a hospital, before going, giving birth and so forth. The advocacy groups in the hospitals that you should know of. So advocacy is, they're anchored. They're not rigid. They're anchored. Even one question that you ask is powerful. And it's not just about getting your way. It's about staying connected to yourself, because when you're in that labor and delivery room, things can move really fast. Things can move fast, right? And that's why we spoke about the advocacy traps in the beginning of the episode, where, we have like the good patient or the silent partner, or you just remain startled, and that's how you overcome that. So with the Woman Word podcast, guys, we are going to get into everything maternal health wise. I think this is the clarion call. Okay, this is we're ringing the bell out here. It's we can't afford to just get pregnant, go have a baby, and think, okay, I'm just gonna go have a baby, cool, and not know what we're doing. And a lot of the times, professionals in the birth world, we like saying, well, do your research. We like telling people do their research. But many times, especially new parents or new pregnant folks, they don't know what they're researching or what to research. So this is what we're going to do here. We're going to get into things that, you talk to your doctor about. We're going to get into things that you should know postpartum. We're going to get into the emotions of postpartum. We're going to have you understand that you have options. You have a choice. You have rights. We know the statistics. We know, especially the Black women, we are 3 to 4 times more likely to suffer mortality rates through childbirth. And statistics actually show majority of that happens postpartum. Majority of those maternal health mortality rates happen postpartum. So this is what we're here to do. We're here to spread that awareness. We're here to be informed. We're here to be an uplifting, empowering, safe space and community for pregnant and postpartum parents that just looking for that community through encouragement, real talk, in faith. We're going to talk a lot about how we go through these things as parents, as pregnant folks, with the Lord and so forth. So this is the space for you. This is your time. This podcast is your time. And I invite you to just sit back, relax, and enjoy what we have for you. And, we're going to have all of this in the show notes, but I do encourage you to send us emails, send us your questions, send us your stories. womanwordpodcast@gmail.com. We are so serious, guys. I'm serious. This is a wake-up call. This is a wake-up call for every woman out there, whether you are pregnant, whether you are postpartum, whether you are trying to conceive. It is time to wake up. It's time to wake up. The maternal health system is no joke. Navigating that is no joke. Learning your choices, learning or being educated on informed consent or the things that you should do or the options that you have. It's a real thing. It is an absolute real thing. So join us for our episodes bi-weekly or weekly, I think. I don't know. We'll just see what happens. And thank you so much. We will see you next time.